There is a specific kind of silence that only a parent knows. It is the silence of a phone that sits on the table, black and still, day after day. You check the volume to make sure it is on. You check the connection. But deep down, you know the technology is working. It is the relationship that has disconnected. When an adult child stops calling, the silence is not just a lack of noise, it is a presence. It fills the room with anxiety, rejection, and a loop of agonizing questions. Are they okay? Did I offend them? Do they not care about me anymore? This silence can feel like a punishment, a slow erasure of your existence from their life. The panic that sets in is visceral. You might feel the urge to call them repeatedly, to beg for a response or to sink into a depression, believing that your role as a parent, and perhaps your value as a person, has ended. But Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived the unimaginable stripping away of everything he loved during the Holocaust, offers a lifeline. He teaches us that while we cannot control the external circumstance, the phone ringing or not ringing, we have absolute, inviolable power over our internal response. The silence does not have to break you. In fact, if navigated with wisdom, it can be the catalyst for a profound reclaiming of your own peace. Today, we will apply Frankl's logotherapy to this painful scenario. We will move beyond the panic of the silent phone and discover what you must do immediately, not outwardly to them, but inwardly for yourself, to restore your equilibrium. We will explore how to shift from the paralyzing stance of waiting to the empowering stance of living. Frankl's insights reveal that your peace is not held hostage by your child's behavior. It is something you construct, brick by brick, through the meaning you choose to find in this very moment of solitude. By the end of this video, the phone may or may not ring, but you will no longer be a prisoner of its silence. You will have the keys to your own dignity back in your hands. The first immediate step to restoring your peace is to recognize the space between the event and your reaction. Frankl famously taught that between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Right now, the stimulus is the silence. The phone is not ringing. The automatic response you are likely feeling is panic, unworthiness, or anger. You might feel compelled to chase them or to catastrophize, imagining that the relationship is over forever. To restore peace, you must widen that gap. You must pause. Instead of reacting to the silence as if it were an emergency, you must choose to label it differently. Is it an abandonment, or is it a pause? Is it an attack, or is it a sign that they are overwhelmed with their own life? By choosing to interpret the silence not as a verdict on your worth, but as a neutral fact of the present moment, you stop the emotional bleeding. You step out of the fight or flight mode and into the freedom mode. This does not mean the pain disappears instantly. It means you refuse to let the pain dictate your actions. You decide that today, even if the phone remains silent, you will not fall apart. You will not send the angry text. You will not sit by the window waiting. You choose a response of dignity. You decide that your peace is too valuable to be traded for a phone call. This internal pivot is the foundation of all healing. It asserts that you exist and you matter, regardless of who is calling you. The second immediate action is to stop the chase. Frankl identified a pattern he called hyper-intention, where the harder one tries to force a specific outcome, the more elusive that outcome becomes. If you are obsessively calling, texting, or worrying about your adult child, you are engaging in hyper-intention. You are projecting an energy of desperate neediness. In the dynamics of human relationships, this energy often acts as a repellent. It pushes the adult child further away because they feel the weight of your demand for connection. Restoring your peace requires a counterintuitive move. You must stop trying so hard. This is not about playing games or being passive-aggressive. It is about energetic withdrawal for the sake of your own sanity. You must release the tight grip you have on the expectation of a call. When you stop chasing, you change the atmosphere. You lower the pressure. You prove to yourself that you can survive the silence. This cessation of chasing is actually an act of respect. Respect for their space and respect for your own value. You are signaling that you are a whole person, not a fragment waiting to be completed by their attention. When you pull back your energy, you often create a vacuum that they eventually feel the impulse to fill. But more importantly, Even if they don't call immediately, you have stopped exhausting yourself. You have conserved your energy for your own life, which is the only thing you can truly control. If this message brought clarity or relief to your heart, you can support this space by clicking the thanks button. Your contribution helps keep this work of care alive. The third step is to address the void the silence has created. Frankl spoke often of the existential vacuum, a feeling of emptiness and meaninglessness. When an adult child stops calling, it often exposes a vacuum in the parent's life. If your primary source of meaning was being needed by your child, their silence feels like an annihilation of your purpose. You feel empty because the role that filled you has been suspended. To restore your peace, you must immediately begin to fill this vacuum with new meaning. You cannot wait for the phone to ring to feel purposeful. You must turn to the other areas of meaning Frankl identified, creating a work, experiencing something like nature or art, or adopting an attitude towards suffering. What have you neglected while you were busy parenting? What hobbies, friendships, or passions have gathered dust? This is the time to pivot toward them. Go for a walk in nature and truly see the trees. Pick up the book you meant to read. Volunteer for a cause that needs you. By actively engaging with life outside of your role as a parent, you tell your brain that you are still vital, still needed, and still alive. You displace the anxiety of waiting with the joy of living. The silence of the phone becomes less deafening when your life is filled with other music. You are demonstrating to yourself that your happiness is a self-generated power, not a gift dispensed by your child. The fourth technique to use immediately is what Frankl called dereflection. When we have a problem, our natural instinct is to focus on it intensely. We obsess over why they aren't calling. We analyze our past conversations. We worry about the future. Frankl taught that this hyper-focus only magnifies the suffering. It creates a feedback loop of anxiety. To break the loop, you must learn to ignore the problem, not out of denial, but out of a strategic redirection of attention. Dereflection means looking away from yourself and your pain, and looking towards something else. It is the deliberate act of self-transcendence. When you catch yourself staring at the phone or ruminating on the silence, you must gently but firmly force your attention outward. Focus on someone else who is suffering. Call a friend who is lonely. Bake a cake for a neighbor. Write a letter of gratitude to someone who is present in your life. By shifting your focus from, "Why aren't they calling me?" to, "What can I give to the world right now?" you short-circuit the anxiety. You move from the passive position of the victim to the active position of the contributor. This restores your peace because it restores your sense of agency. You realize that while you cannot command your child's attention, you can command your own attention, and you can choose to place it where it bears fruit rather than where it withers. The fifth step is a cognitive shift, reframing the narrative. Our brains are storytelling machines, and in the absence of information, they tend to write tragedies. They aren't calling because they hate me. They aren't calling because I am a failure. Frankl urges us to find a meaning in the situation that is constructive rather than destructive. What if the silence is not a rejection, but a necessary developmental pause? Adult children often stop calling when they are in the thick of building their own lives, navigating careers, new relationships, or their own internal struggles. They may be overwhelmed, not malicious. They may be fighting battles you know nothing about, and their silence is their way of conserving energy, not attacking you. By reframing the silence as a growth gap or a busy season, you remove the venom from the wound. You can tell yourself, they are out there learning to stand on their own feet. This silence is the sound of their independence. Even if this is only partially true, choosing this interpretation allows you to maintain a spirit of love rather than resentment. It keeps your heart soft. It prevents you from building a wall of bitterness that would make reconnection impossible when they finally do reach out. You preserve the relationship in your heart by refusing to villainize them in your mind. The final immediate action is to embrace what Frankl called tragic optimism. This is the capacity to remain optimistic in spite of the tragic triad of pain, guilt, and death. In the context of an estranged or distant child, it means saying yes to life in spite of the heartbreak. It means acknowledging that the situation is sad, perhaps even tragic, but refusing to let it be the final word on your life. Tragic optimism is not toxic positivity. It doesn't pretend everything is fine. It admits, I miss them deeply and this hurts. But it follows that admission with, and yet I will still make today beautiful. It is the decision to keep the door of your heart open without standing in the doorway blocking the light. You hold space for their return, but you do not put your life on hold for it. This attitude restores your peace because it integrates the loss into a larger picture of a meaningful life. You become bigger than your grief. You show the world, and your absent child, if they are watching from a distance, that you are resilient. You are modeling emotional health, and ultimately, a parent who is living a life of tragic optimism is a parent who is safe to come back to, a parent who is steady, not shattered, a lighthouse that withstands the storm. The silence of a phone not ringing can feel like the loudest noise in the world. It echoes with fear, rejection, and loneliness. But as Viktor Frankl has shown us, we are not victims of the silence. We are the architects of our response to it. By widening the gap between stimulus and response, halting the cycle of hyperintention, filling the existential vacuum with new meaning, applying de-reflection, reframing the narrative, and embracing tragic optimism, we do something miraculous. We restore our own peace with or without the phone call. You have the power to reclaim your day. You have the right to be happy, even in the waiting. The silence does not define you. Your resilience defines you. Your capacity to find meaning in the void defines you. So today, step away from the phone. Step into your life. The world is waiting for you, even if your child is not currently part of it. If this video helped you find a moment of calm in the storm, please share your experience in the comments below. What is one thing you will do today to reclaim your peace? Your story inspires us all to keep living fully.